Diana McCullum.
Hey, I'm Andrew Riveman.
And this is Fan vs. Fan for The Flash.
Flash, you're quick, gorillas. Tonight's episode of The Flash, we see the Star Labs team enlisting the help of Sullivar and Gypsy to take down Gorilla Grodd and the whole Gorilla City team. Jesse decides to stay on Earth 1 when Harry goes home, and Barry has decided to propose. All that happened tonight, so let's get into it. Let's start talking about the pros. Alright, so pros of tonight's episode. Diana, what did you like?
I love having Earth 2 Harrison Wells back. I'm really sad he left at the end of the episode.
Oh, okay.
I love Earth 2 Wells.
Yeah?
I didn't think I really disliked HR until they brought Earth 2 Wells back again. He's so much more helpful. He's very smart. He's so snarky. The fact that he just lied about dying to get his daughter to stay on Earth.
That was fun.
Kills me.
That was fun. I think that I'm not going to disagree with you. Like, I would never say that this was. I would never say that that's one of my cons of this episode. Mm-hmm. But I feel like him coming back when HR is still around actually kind of reminds me how ridiculous that character is. I know HR is supposed to be the ridiculous one. But, like, when severe Harry shows up, just growling and just saying whatever.
And just making machines instantly.
And when he says to Jesse, sincerely, the happiness of my daughter is what matters most to me, I'm like, this character's ridiculous. It took a bit of distance for me to realize how over-the-top, insane this version of Harry is. Because, like...
HR? Wait, Earth 2 version?
I'm talking Earth 2 Harry. He's
Earth 2?
over the top and insane.
I was saying the steampunk version guy is over the top insane.
Well, yeah, he's also over the top insane. And, like, we all knew that. Mm-hmm. But a little bit of absence from Earth 2 Harry, and then he comes back and I'm like, this guy is also crazy. No. I just want happiness for my daughter. What is happening there, Earth 2 Batman?
You want happiness for your daughter and you have a naturally gravelly voice.
Yeah, he's got a lot of gravel.
Happens.
And then you lie about dying.
That was amazing.
That was great.
Because when he backtracked, he's like, well, none of us know how much time we have left.
Yeah, that was a funny line.
That was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But I think what it really emphasized to me is that he's so appalled that they're using a dumb HR on their team. And I'm like, yeah, what? If, like, a stranger walked in from the street who was not very smart, you wouldn't let them on the team for no reason.
Fair.
Just because he's got a face that's familiar, he shouldn't be here.
Yeah, but if a stranger walks in from Earth 23 or whatever this HR is from, you might let them help out.
Yeah, just because they're from a different planet?
Hey, he's had some good ideas. Stop harping on HR. I feel like even in that moment when he was like, it's a military haircut, search military databases, even like Earth 2 Harry was like, oh, crap, you got me there. Everyone's like, yeah.
I don't know. Every time HR has an idea, it always feels like a basic enough idea that someone else on the team should have had it.
They could have had it, but they didn't. This HR did. He's fun. He wears terrible fedoras. It's a good time.
All right. What is your pro for this episode?
I mean, I will say one of my pros of this episode would be just that one specific scene when Jesse confronts Harry about lying about his death. That was a great scene. Like, everything from just like the way the camera tracked from her moment with Wally being like, I've got to push you away. Your dad is dying.
You think this dumb storyline is going to start? It's going to go for a while.
Yeah, it was such a traditional setup in the style of what all of the plot lines on The Flash have been, where it's like a character keeps a secret, a character pushes another one away, everyone gets mad that they're lying.
5 episodes later, we find out the truth.
This was so smooth and snappy, with him being like, "You've got to go, and here's why," and her being like, "No." And then the fact that we had all this going down with Joe and his magnetic head machine. I love that the lie interrupted everything that was everything was really sharp and clever about it. Just interrupting the scene, breaking down, being like, that's a lie, great joke, exit, plot line over. And the fact that Earth 2 Harry then immediately was like, anyway, we got to get this head thing working.
Magnets.
It was so fast and smooth. I'm like, we got the closure of a story, the continuation of a new one, or the continuation of what was already happening, the start of a new one, a quip. That was a really fluid couple of scenes. That was very well done.
It was, and the dynamic gave such familiarity. Like, I don't often feel like Jesse and Wells are father and daughter.
Yeah.
Like, just, I mean, maybe because we've met so many Welleses and stuff.
Sure.
But this was one of the few moments where I'm like, oh, you guys know each other. He's done this shit before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a really fun little side storyline, which, like you said, you expect to go this CW way of like 5 episodes drama unnecessarily, and then just rug pull it. Yeah, it was really brilliant, really good.
And I see what you're saying, where like we haven't really felt that parental relationship before, and especially in a show where I know different characters, but this face we've seen as a parental figure to other characters on the show. We've seen the original Harry be a parental figure to Barry, be a parental figure to Cisco. I feel like Jesse is one of the characters that I might least associate with a parental relationship with that face.
I totally agree.
So yeah, that was a great moment of being like, this feels like a fully fleshed out father-daughter relationship. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was terrific. Do we have anything going on in the?
Yeah, folks in the chat room.
In the chat right now? What do we got going on?
Harrison Wells versus HR dynamic in the episode.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. And anything that allows Tom Welling just to have fun on set, like I would take an episode that's just a room full of Tom Cavanaugh just playing. Just playing.
Just having a time.
Just having it. Be like, Tom, can you come up with can you come up with 52 versions of Harrison Wells? And he's like, I have 70 in the chamber, ready to go.
How many props do you have?
Yeah.
How many haircuts can I get?
Yeah. I want to see it.
Yeah, it really reminded me of like when you get a new dog and the other dog doesn't like him. Like, because you expect your dogs to get along, but then the other dog can feel threatened and be like, no, I'm the only dog. And they just fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but the other dog's like happy to be there.
That's
he's like, I have a home now.
That's a perfect analogy. That's only somewhat universal. But I feel like the people who get it well.
People have seen dogs.
Get it well. They know what's up.
What dogs
they understand how dogs. I never said anyone was like, what is dog? But it's not necessarily that. And those were some of the pros. But I'm going to say as well, Gypsy just generally is a big pro for me.
Gypsy is also generally a pro.
Yeah, great character. She gives a great performance. She understands who it is she's playing and plays it well.
Yeah, that I think with a different actress, that character could be forgettable, but she's crushing it. And her and Cisco's chemistry.
Yeah, she has sincere chemistry with Cisco. That's enough for pros, though. Let's go right into our cons. All right, so cons for tonight's episode. Diana, what didn't you like?
Invasion was kind of boring.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that one.
They had an army of gorillas that they like CG'd and had and gave some nice like tinfoil hockey pads to.
And they came and went.
And they arrived, they left, and I kind of forgot it happened.
Yeah.
And all I could think about was Harrison Wells from Earth 2.
It really didn't.
Forgettable.
It was very forgettable. They really only had 3 scenes. You know, we got just a brief little brainwashed Joe moment.
Ooh, which was a nice moment. Though.
Which was a nice moment.
Shooting himself,
and that was powerful, and that had a lot of weight and gravity to it. And I don't mind the mind control scenes. I feel like that can have a lot of gravitas to it. But when the last time that we saw the gorillas was 20 minutes ago in the show, like in the opening, and they're in a forest line a million miles away and they don't feel like a very pressing concern, it honestly feels like it could be, as powerful as the moment with Joe was, it could have been a great moment in an episode where it's a villain who just straight up mind controls, and that's their only power.
That seemed more dangerous.
And they're not a 5-ton gorilla just truck of pain coming at the city wearing armor.
Because I was more worried about the nuclear missiles than I was about the gorillas.
Yeah.
But also I feel like they might have done these episodes in the wrong order, because it's hard to be like, woo, 20 gorillas, when last week we were in Gorilla City and it was amazing, and like you could feel the press of so many gorillas everywhere and no escape.
The stakes definitely stepped down. They never escalated over this 2-part event. It was a slow de-escalation of them being less and less troublesome and less worrisome, and essentially the resolution of this storyline, like the big threat was the gorillas are here, mind control, nuclear weapons, when your big resolution was how fast can Barry punch in random numerical codes
out of order. Bothered me.
That does not feel like the climax moment of an epic 2-parter in a war of worlds against gorilla people.
Yeah, he's getting like an army of metas together as much as he can. They're trying to fight. They're supposed to be fighting an army, and it just, it never escalated. It never felt like there was a lot on the stage. Like, I think Joe shooting himself felt like the most stakes of the episode.
Yeah. It felt like a Mark Wahlberg level of disappointment in a gorilla fight.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, no one has. So that that felt like a real waste.
Okay.
Tiffany Madison in the chat room reminded me that it's nuclear. I was saying nuclear a few moments ago. There's
Canadian.
always one, isn't there, Tiffany? Thank you for the comment. No, it's the Jesse thing was just underutilized.
I gotcha. And I do have one more quick con, which is...
Oh, sure.
I thought this whole suddenly Barry's willing to kill out of nowhere was so dumb.
It kind of crept up on us, and...
Grodd, of all people? Like, if you're going to kill Zoom or Savitar... Kill Savitar.
I don't even know if Savitar is a sentient being.
But if you could.
Yeah.
Kill him.
I mean,
But,
like, he makes sentient decisions, but I'm like, is there a
Are
spirit?
you
Is there
energy?
a consciousness? What
What
are you? Are you a god? What is happening here?
But yeah, for Barry to just be like, you know what, I've never murdered before, but maybe today's the day. Maybe Grodd's the one. It was real out of nowhere.
Yeah, it came out of left
I
field.
felt
and
like the writers were like, we have run out of things for Barry to have man angst about. We are just fully out of ideas.
It came out of left field, and it ended just as abruptly, because they had that whole issue of like, is he going to kill? And then he was like, well, what if I don't kill you, but Solovar does? I'm like, that's still murder. That's still murder. And then at some point in his own head, off camera, he decides, no, that is still pretty murdery. So it's weird that he came to a moral conclusion in his own thought process off camera while allowing Solovar to potentially murder Grodd, to the point where he let Grodd drop 80 stories off of that building, and Grodd should have turned to dust.
Yeah, I really thought Grodd was going to be dead when he landed,
Yeah.
or I expected Barry to make some little wind tunnels to catch him, to be like, we don't do that. But he just
But after an
landed.
80-story fall, for Solovar to pick up a spear, and that's when Barry says, no.
That's my line.
This is murder now. I'm like, you've made some abrupt decisions off camera at some very awkward times.
That's the great part about mind control episodes. You can
Yeah.
just blame gorillas for anything
Yeah.
you do that you don't like.
So that's what we're feeling for the cons, but what's going on in the chat room right now?
A
Do
lot
we have
of the
anybody
folks
else?
in the chat are talking about how terrible Grodd's invasion plan was.
It was a pretty sloppy invasion plan. I agree with the
also,
chat room on that.
Photo Guy 79 with a big con, 3 speedsters, and no one went out to scout the outside of the city. Did Barry forget everything Oliver taught him?
That's a great point. That's a great
point.
and yeah, Photo Guy, Barry definitely did forget everything Oliver taught him, which is weird in an episode where Oliver was brought up several times.
Several times.
Several
for several
times.
different reasons. They said the guy in the green elf suit, the guy who kills people in Star City. Yeah,
Yep.
they talked about him all the time.
And like they brought him up in a way that it felt like this was going to be the episode before before a big crossover event.
Or
you know what I
everyone's
mean?
going to
Where
show
like
up to help fight the gorillas,
yeah,
like the Legends and
there
Arrow.
is no crossover event happening, but like if it feels like there is going to be one next week in the way that they wrote the casual mentions of Green Arrow in this, especially when the thematic premise and the decisions that all of these characters made didn't really seem to revolve around that, other than the out of left field Barry deciding whether or not killing is okay.
But yes, definitely we needed more for the speedsters to do.
What else do we have going
A
on in
lot
the
of
chat
folks in
room?
the chat are grossed out by the whole Cisco Gypsy thing, because the implication is kind of that like she is Cisco of Earth 19.
She is Cisco of Earth 19,
I
but
guess.
she's a woman with different DNA. I'm fine with this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
It's a different
like,
person from a different Earth with different family memories and living, and I think that's fine. I'm still grossed out by Iris and Barry.
Yeah, they're gonna get married and they're brother and sister.
Yeah.
His dad is gonna give his wife away at his wedding. So let's think about that for a second. If we're gonna talk about gross
It's
stuff.
gonna be real awkward.
People are gonna show up and they're gonna be like, bride side or groom, be like, well, we're both all family already.
Also, how about this for a quick con? Barry, scale it down a little bit. Cool
Every
it, bud.
time we're in that apartment.
Not every nice thing that you do has to be an event. Like, it is actually becoming overwhelming when he's like, I made pancakes. 900 of them. Iris doesn't want 900 She has to get to work today. Why are you doing? The apartment's a mess. This was a waste of pancake batter. There's so many questions.
You're so focused has done the mess. He's a speedster. He can clean so
Even
quickly.
with that, it's
but
such
the
a
900
waste.
pancakes. The 900 pancakes is
The
insane.
amount of times he's done this
amount-
stuff too, where he's just like,
50 million roses.
It's 50 million roses. I'm like, one, where did you pick those? And like maybe you got them from their wild roses that you collected speedily, or you're wasting this family's income on your rose budget on a weekly.
What's Iris making in journalism?
These
Not much.
grand gestures need to cool. They're not romantic. They're feeling a little bit murdery. Like they're feeling a little
Don't
too much.
leave me, Iris.
This
Don't
is
leave
quickly
me.
turning into a horror movie.
Yeah, she's gonna come home one night and be like, "Can we just watch TV?"
I just want television.
Dear God.
I just wanted you to fix
Why
the
are there
Netflix.
photos of me
just
everywhere?
fix the Netflix. Like that's all you need.
I
I think that's enough for the cons. I think we hit that pretty hard. Let's move into the Easter eggs. All right, so Easter eggs for tonight's episode. Diana, what did you find?
All right, Easter eggs. And if you guys found any, let us know in the chat. We'd love to
Absolutely.
hear. My first one, and I think my favorite one, is so Gypsy says, "What are you trying to Luke Starkiller me?" And this is a
fun.
deep nerd cut because so Luke
Semi-deep.
Skywalker, yeah, well, Luke Skywalker was originally supposed to be called Luke Starkiller in the Star Wars movies, if you've seen them.
That little franchise,
Little
yeah.
franchise you
That
might
little
have heard of. So assuming on her Earth he's just called Luke Starkiller, and
Yeah.
they never changed it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's a little fun little tidbit.
Yeah, I wonder if it's still good over there. Like, if it's still Star
like, did
Killer.
they just do 3 movies?
Yeah.
Or did they do the prequels?
I wonder how it all played out over there.
So many
Anyway,
questions.
yeah.
I'm surprised they have movies because she's from Earth 19, which is like the Gotham by Gaslight world, which is like very steampunky and Victorian.
Oh, okay. They probably still just call them talkies over there.
Ooh, talkies.
Yeah, they never scaled it back to movies.
The Star Wars talkies.
They're still excited about
but
the
they
talkies.
have sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
All right, and the other big one is when she's on Earth 19, she gives the photos to someone and says, "I caught the person who was
Yeah,
I
who is
bounty
that?
hunted." That was Accelerated Man,
Oh.
which is the Earth 19 version of the Flash, with probably the worst Flash name next to the Wizard.
The Wizard.
The Wizard has the worst speedster name.
That's the worst speedster name. Yeah, but Accelerated Man. It's a really long, drawn-out name for a man who's supposed to be short.
Our
fast.
producer is saying it's very on the nose,
Yeah.
and he is right.
Yeah.
It's a little
It's a little much. It's a little much, Accelerator Man. But I kind of like that little Robin Hoodie vibe that he has. Like that little red hoodie wraparound. I'm like, it's somewhere in between a ninja and a Robin Hood. And
I think the
dig it.
wraparound makes a lot of sense because I feel like when you're running, there must be so much dust in your face.
Yeah, there's bugs that get in there.
I feel like it's just a little filter. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, that
I don't
would
know
make a lot of
why.
sense.
I don't know how Barry doesn't just eat a lot of bugs.
He probably does.
He eats a lot of bugs.
You can eat bugs.
Oh,
Ain't gonna hurt you.
gross again.
I mean-
We're getting back to gross things again.
I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying you could. Live the dream, Speedster. Was that everything for tonight's
those were
episode
all my Easter eggs.
for Easter eggs? So what else do we have going on in the chat then tonight?
Folmsby just pointed
Hey,
out
Folmsby.
the Alfred Yankovic nod. Which is
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the poet Alfred Yankovic I thought was pretty good.
The Weird Al line.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
HR's things that are wrong is always great.
Yeah.
Because he had a gladiator joke, one of his first episodes, which was sweaty men or
Mm-hmm,
something. We call it sweaty men on our work.
Yeah. Yeah. I also felt I felt sad for HR because you were talking earlier about how you really enjoy Earth 2 Harry and having him back, and it shows HR doesn't really do anything. I'm like, Earth 2 Harry came back a little too hot and mean right off the top.
He did call him dumb a lot.
He called him dumb. He spit in the man's coffee
Did he?
when he was
Oh, I didn't
brushing his
see that.
teeth. When he was brushing his teeth, HR was drinking a coffee, and he just goes, "You're dumb," and spits in the man's spits his
I might have been
toothpaste
tweeting.
into the
Ew.
man's coffee. I'm like, that is really, even if the man's dumb, I don't go around on the street to dumb people, and I'm like, anyway, you're dumb. Screw your Starbucks. That's really mean. That's too hot and mean to a stranger who just isn't as smart as you.
He's having a rough week, He also might be dying.
We're all dying. We're all dying.
None of us are gonna live
none of us know
forever.
how long we're gonna have left. That
that's-
was too hot and mean for me.
All right, well,
you can't
I'm-
come in that crazy.
Maybe
Because
I
he's
can
always
just-
been pretentious mean of being oh, you don't know that. He's never been, I'm going to spit in your coffee mean.
I guess I have thicker skin than you.
Okay.
I'm just tougher.
What else we got going on in the chat?
folks in the chat looking forward to the next appearance of Grodd when he inevitably pulls his turning everyone into gorillas shtick.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Grodd has not tried to turn people into
has
gorillas yet.
Not yet tried to turn people into gorillas.
Which is the best plan.
I think he will at some point.
Oh yes.
I think he will at some point. But I also am quite curious when they end the episode with mentioning that. So Grodd is not in the metahuman prison that's in Star Labs. They say, well, we sent him to Argus. Mm-hmm. Which, first of all, I'm a little curious about. That is where you sent King Shark. He escaped out of there quite easily. And now King Shark is back there, which they even joke about, being like, oh, he's there with King Shark. I feel like the fact that they wrote a little joke in about that, I'm wondering if we're going to see them together in like a crazy creature epic, like this is the episode with the CGI budget. Mm-hmm. We're gonna cut to footage of this alleyway, and rather than just create a CGI gorilla, let's put the shark in there in that episode.
I could see it. I mean, I'd rather see them fight, I think.
Maybe.
But also,
that might happen too.
I feel like King Shark wouldn't want anything that Gorilla Grodd wants. He'd be like, we're going to turn everyone into sharks, right? And Grodd would be like, yeah, sure. We're going to turn them all into sharks.
I wonder if Gorilla Grodd can mind control sharks.
Ooh, that would be a great episode.
That could be an interesting one too, yeah. But I feel like budgetarily, in terms of the CGI budget, it's probably going to be easier to put them both on screen together, much as it is cheaper for them to CGI a gorilla army, or just as cheap than it is for them to CGI an individual gorilla into multiple scenes that interact with characters. So I think there's a good chance maybe we'll see them come back together, which would be cool.
It'd be cool.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of King Shark.
Who isn't a big fan of King Shark? That's just a silly thing to even say.
Yeah, but King Shark versus Gorilla Grodd, who do you think would win that one?
Can Grodd have mind control?
No, because then there'd be no fight. So I think we need to default
I'm gonna
say
give
no.
it to King Shark.
Yeah, I'm giving it to King Shark, just hands down. He's a shark and a king.
He's already a king.
Yeah, Grodd lost the crown and is not that good in water. I'm guessing. I don't know. What are gorillas like with water? Anyway, I'm not a zoologist, people, is what I'm trying to say.
They fall into them sometimes.
If there's anything that we can take out of tonight's episode, it's that I am not a zoologist.
A couple people in the chat disappointed again. The lack of Keith David, 2 lines. Oliver's great, but
Keith David had so few lines
so
that I didn't even really notice that he was in the episode.
Yeah, I feel like he might have recorded his lines on his phone and sent them in.
Yeah.
And I can do this real quick. There you go.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. It's really fast. And same thing last episode. Really underutilized in part 1 of this 2-parter. Really underutilized in this one. And underutilized to the point where, not only did they not give him enough lines to give that character any kind of a power in my head, I feel like Solivar is also just a very forgettable gorilla.
Yeah, he didn't have any personality.
No, if he never comes up again in this series, I'll pretty soon forget that he exists, in all honesty.
You'll probably call him Savitar again.
I'll probably
I might too.
Yeah.
When Savitar showed up at the end, I'm like, it's Solivar!
I'll go back to screwing up his name and then then forgetting him quite soon after. Yeah.
One more Easter egg from the chat.
Sure, what else we got?
People just pointing out that gorillas climbing skyscrapers.
King Kong.
Yeah.
King Kong-esque.
Once they started...
gorillas climbing skyscrapers.
Your tongue just shut down for a second, huh?
It did, because I was trying to think of the thing I wanted to say, which is I hope the Kong Skull Island was buying some promotional materials in this episode.
They were advertising last week. When they were climbing the skyscrapers, at some point I really did think that they were going to go for a plane gag or a grab a woman out of the top penthouse gag. I really thought they were going to go for a Kong gag at some point. I'm a little sad they didn't, because it felt like that could have used a little bit of levity in that moment.
Now, didn't they do that in Grodd's first episode, though? Because Grodd kidnaps Caitlin in his first episode. Mm-hmm. And he took her to a clock tower.
All right, fair enough.
So I feel like it's been done.
I'll take it.
I feel like
it's been done. It's been done. It's been done to death.
Go
Forget
watch
it.
season 1
It's
again.
dead. It's over.
Just like this show.
All right, I think that's everything for tonight's episode. As always, thank you so much for watching, joining us for those of you who are here in the live stream. Thank you very much for joining us live and taking part in the live chat. If you're joining us later, watching this later on YouTube, be sure to click below and subscribe to the Dork Shelf channel to get notifications about the live chat when the live episodes when they go up, and to see all the great videos on the network.
Definitely, and make sure you follow Dork Shelf on Twitter at Dork Shelf.
Yeah.
And you can follow us on Twitter at From Superheroes.
That's where we're at. And thank you very much for watching. I'm Andrew Ivemy.
I'm Diane McCullough.
See ya.
Kicked him out.